So this year, I was really honored to participate with Radical Women's Black History Month event. And what was really great about it is that we used the theme of the Little Rock Nine, and we talked about the parallels between the segregation of the schools then and what's going on, and the racism that came with it, and what's going on with City College. And what struck me, that was very jarring and both heartbreaking, was that it was very eerily similar, and that I was watching these young black students trying to get an education, obviously determined and passionate about getting an education, and yet this wall of racism, I mean literal wall, they were standing there outside of the school yelling obscenities and racist slurs, was keeping them from it. Just that little wall that was keeping them from something that they wanted so badly. But it was inspiring as well because the looks on their faces was something of a determination that could not be broken. And obviously it wasn't, because they broke through that wall and ended up going into those schools. And so in that moment and in that night, I finally realized, because I had known how important City College was to me, but I finally realized the importance of it for everyone. So City College has had its fair share of troubles. I don't know if you've heard. I actually got connected to Radical Women last year before I officially joined, marching in the March 9th rally when the ACJC decided officially they were going to take away our accreditation. So that's how I got connected, and immediately we just were connecting on what can we do, because this is something that's happening right now. And it's something that we need to get people on immediately so that we could figure out how to stop this, because it's happening. So we actually decided first that we wanted to motivate women of color, particularly, but students of color, into getting into leadership roles, because they were going to be the most affected. They were going to be the ones where the tuition was going to go up and they were going to be unable to afford going to as many classes as they needed. They were the ones who were going to have to figure out hectic schedules that were now limited around their already busy work schedules. So we worked to make announcements in classes. We went to particularly women's studies classes, ethnic studies classes, public health classes, where these students were not only there in the classes, but hopefully ready and excited with activism under their sleeves. So we made announcements and motivated people and decided that we were gonna take 3 students who were of color and put them in the leadership role of working in a workshop, and then invite the students to come see what this leadership could look like, when not only students were talking about how important City College was to them, because we all know it's a great school, but talking about what was gonna happen, because that was the reality, regardless if we talked about it or not, what was gonna happen if City College left. We had the workshop. It was great. It was inspiring. People were enthusiastic, talked very much about how important City College was to them, talked very much about being of first generation and being able to go to a college and being able to afford it, being able to go into nursing programs and help the community, being able to get access to classes such as women's studies classes that they might not have even thought about or recognized as an important class that needed to be added to their curriculum. All these things were shared. Enthusiasm was high. We signed up a lot of people. Unfortunately, not a lot of enthusiasm went much further than the workshop. One of the things that happened in between the workshop and our second political act for City College was that learning services, as I mentioned earlier, were eliminated. And learning services is a service and program where students, particularly, once again, conveniently, working class students, hello, were able to not only go on campus and educate other students, but they were able to get paid to do it. And so it helped because some students wanted to be a part of volunteering, some students wanted to be a part of activism, but it's hard to get there when you have a lot on your plate. They ended up cutting funding for it so that now they could only be groups, which meant, or clubs, which meant that, like I said, the students could no longer get paid. One of those organizations was the Gender Diversity Project, which I worked hard with another student who was on the workshop. And what we did was we made presentations and workshops on campus about the importance of safety for trans and non-gender conforming students. And while it was centered around gender diversity, of course the importance of safety came with a whole bunch of talking about isms. So it was not only about just gender diversity, it was talking about the fact that students should be able to go on campus and be completely comfortable and feel safe so that they can learn, so they could have the space and comfortability to learn. That's what they're there for. And a lot of wonderful students, all working class students, ended up staying and volunteering their time around, very busy schedules. I'm talking about jobs, double jobs, bunch of classes. They stayed and volunteered their time, even though they no longer were able to get paid, because they recognized the importance of this organization. We actually ended up creating a little ragtag team of faculty and professors and a couple of students. And we had our own little tight group, and we just marched down to Rice Harris's office, who is the state chancellor, and we said, we're gonna be out here and we're gonna protest with our little group, and we're gonna make our presence known because we came out here for something, and we did. We made such a noise that he embarrassingly let us in and said, oh, well, I guess I'll talk to you. If you're here and all. So we ended up sitting down with him, and the passion and excitement from the professors put a shocked look on his face that I will never forget. I have pleasant dreams about it. He had no idea we were as knowledgeable as we were. We asked him questions. We told him that we wanted to stop privatization. We said, that's what's happening. We know it's happening. We want it stopped. We told him that we had a special trustee who was just implementing these policies, budget cutting, everything. And we said, we don't need this person in here. We want a democracy. We want someone who's gonna listen to us. And we don't wanna be ignored. And of course he had his, ready-of-the-mill political answers, but I tell you, the look on his face said it all. And we got our own little small victory. So once again, it was a situation where you feel that need to keep going. And I think that kind of happens a lot of times. You feel that need to keep going, but it kind of hurts. It's like a little nick of the heart. So from those lessons, I have felt the need to really focus on meeting students where they are at. I think that from what I have gathered from the work that we have done, because we have worked really hard, and what culminated in this student rally kind of a chaos, is that we have to really meet people where they're at, because then they get bogged down by these testings that are telling them just go to the straight and narrow. As said, they become like robots, as we said, and they're lifeless, and then they're worn down. So they either just go with the standard, or they get so frustrated that it just boils over. And we really have to meet people where they are in that middle ground. Meet people where they're, I think someone has said it, actually in the discussion yesterday, meet people where they're working, and they might not be able to do everything, but they can do something, and we just have to give them that something. And I want to just end with, I think that people can easily get mad. They like to get mad. They don't like to be scared. And a lot of people are scared. People at City College in particular, and I'm sure with education at large, they're scared. They don't want to face the reality that the government might just not care about them that much, that they really are just these, cattles for them. And I think we have to give them the answer and say, you don't have to be afraid. No, quite the contrary. You just have to get up and do something.
Yes.